What's up guys, Kara Corey here from Kara Corey Fit Life, and today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite dessert bars. This is going to be a strawberry oat bar. This is a recipe that I used to cook a long time ago, and now I've adapted it to include some whey protein. So we're going to use that in addition to Greek yogurt and get lots of protein in this recipe, and it's going to be pretty low fat and a good source of carbs. So to get started with this recipe, we're going to first preheat your oven to 325 degrees. And we're going to use a 8x8-inch baking pan today, a baking dish. If you don't have one this size, if you have a cake pan that's like a 9x13 size pan, you can go ahead and use that. And what I would suggest you do is just maybe increase some of the ingredients by half so that you can completely fill the pan. I'm first just going to spray the pan with nonstick spray. We're going to set that aside, and then to get going, we're going to start with our crust that's going to be used for the crust and also like a crumb topping. The first ingredient we're going to add is going to be oats. I've got 1 full measured out cup of oats we're going to dump into a pan. Next, we're going to add in 1 cup of flour. I'd prefer whole wheat flour, but I only had just basic all-purpose flour laying around, so that's okay. We can add that in there. Next, we're going to add 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar, and I use the Splenda brown sugar because it definitely helps cut down on some of the calories. Next, we're going to add some ground cinnamon in there. I'm going to go ahead and just, I don't measure that, I just sprinkle that on. Can't go wrong with that. Next is sea salt, and I'm just going to do just like a couple turns of sea salt. That should be good. And then for our last dry ingredient, I am doing a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So we're going to dump that in there and whisk it up. Once you've got all your dry ingredients whisked up, I'm going to add in, I've got 1 full tablespoon of coconut oil heated. If you don't have coconut oil, you could go ahead and use butter if you want, margarine, but we want to have a little bit of a fat source in there. So I'm going to add that in there. Next, I'm going to add some I can't believe it's not butter spray. I'm just going to take the top right off of there. Yes, I can't believe it's not butter spray. It does still have some calories and fat grams depending on how much you use of it, so you do have to be mindful of that. If you prefer to just use butter, you can, but I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more tablespoons in there. I'm going to start with 2, and then we're going to go ahead and mix this around. You want it to be to that crumbly point. You want it to be wet enough, but you don't want it to be too dry, essentially, otherwise it's not going to all stick together. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 more tablespoons of spray butter. If you're doing regular butter, you're probably going to need anywhere from 4 to 6 tablespoons. So I'm going to add in those 2 tablespoons, and then I don't want to keep adding spray butter to it, so I'm also just going to add a little splash of the cashew milk. And again, I'm going to start with a little less because you can always add more, you can't take away. So now that we have kind of a nice sticky base for our crust, I'm going to take a big scoop of it like I have here, and we're just going to go ahead and set it aside. This is what we're going to reserve to use as kind of the topping that we're going to crumble on top after. So just setting a little bit of that aside, and we can go ahead and take our pan right now, and we're just going to go ahead and apply that big hunk of crust in there and press it down into the pan. So you just want to take your time with this. It takes a little bit to kind of spread it evenly throughout the bottom of your pan, and then we're just going to go ahead and set this aside for now. Next, what we're going to do is mix up the filling for the bar. So the first thing we're going to add in here is going to be some Greek yogurt, and I've got measured out just some plain Greek yogurt. You can use the flavored if you want, but it's not really necessary. And we're going to add 1/2 cup into our bowl. Next, for a sweetener, I'm just going to add a 1/2 cup of Splenda. It's up to you if you want to add any sweetener at all. You could add a different sweetener, but I like Splenda. Next, for protein, this is where we're going to add it in. I'm going to use the Cinnamon flavor, vanilla, caramel, any of those types of flavors would taste really nice with this. And I'm going to add 1 full scoop of the Cinnamon. A couple more things. I'm going to add in some pure vanilla extract. We're going to add in 1 full tablespoon of that, which is all I had left. Perfect. And last ingredient we're going to add in there, I've got 1 egg white in here, all whipped up. We're going to go ahead and pour that right in there too. And we're just gonna go ahead and mix this all up. Next, what I'm going to use is the sugar-free strawberry preserves. If you guys want, you could use a different flavor, or if you want to just use the fruit itself, you could as well. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple heaping tablespoons in there, so it's probably really going to end up being 3 or 4 tablespoons, to be honest with you. And we're just going to go ahead and blend that up into that mix. It's not going to be perfectly blend, and that's fine. You're going to have some strawberry lumps in there, but that's kind of what we're looking for. Next, we're gonna go ahead, take our crust, and we're simply gonna go ahead and dump all the batter right onto our crust. Then we're just gonna go ahead and evenly spread that mixture. I like to turn the pan as I do it, just makes it a little easier. Next, we're gonna take that leftover oatmeal crust that we kind of set aside, and I'm just gonna kind of gets a little messy, but I'm just gonna kind of play with it with my fingers a little bit and slowly add it as a crumble topping to the top of this. Once you've got your topping all complete, we're gonna go ahead, put this in the oven, bake it at 325 degrees for anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes. So I recommend taking it out at 30 minutes and seeing if it's at the desired consistency. All right, guys, so I cooked my bars for 30 minutes and then took them out of the oven, and they look and smell delicious. You're gonna wanna go ahead and let these cool for probably about 40 minutes. So I'm just setting them on a wire rack. You're gonna wanna let them cool before you cut them up. And then these are definitely gonna wanna be stored in the refrigerator since they did include Greek yogurt. But these are a great little snack dessert, and with the Super Bowl coming up, not that I like the Super Bowl, but I sure do like the snacks, this would be a great thing to have there. You can cut it up in little bite-sized pieces and everyone can enjoy a healthier type dessert. So I hope you guys give this a try, and we'll see you in the next one.